Hello students, this is Taranum Jahan and I'm here with you all people to start the new chapter from civics. Power sharing. This is the first chapter from your political science, that is civics. So under this chapter what you are going to study? In the class 9 you have studied that in democracy all powers does not vest with any one organ of the government. An intelligent sharing of power among the legislature, executive, and judiciary is very important for the design of democracy. So, in this chapter, the idea of power sharing is explained in detail by drawing a parallel lines between the stories of Belgium and Sri Lanka. And also, you will learn the different forms of power sharing under this chapter. So, let's begin with this chapter. Now, let's see what is power sharing. Power sharing is nothing but where the powers are shared among the different levels rather than have the powers are vested in the hands of one person. It should be shared among the different people. So there are many people who believe that power sharing will weaken us. But there are the beliefs that power sharing will strengthen our more power. It will strengthen us, it will make us more powerful. So let's see with the example of Belgium and Sri Lanka whether the power sharing will weaken us or it will make us more powerful. So let us come to the conclusion, what is power sharing? Whether power sharing vested in the hands of one person will make more powerful the country, or the sharing the power between the different organ will make the country more powerful. So let's see how it is going to weaken up or it is going to strengthen up. Let's see what is power sharing actually with the example of Sri Lanka and Belgium. Now let us see the two examples of power sharing, that is between the two countries, that is Belgium and Sri Lanka. Then we'll compare that whether the power sharing among these two countries was benefited to them or not. Now let's see the first case of Belgium. So let's see what the story of Belgium. Belgium is a small country in Europe with a population of over 1 crore. That is about the half of the population of Haryana if we compare it. Then of the country of the total population, they speak different languages over there. And this it is the what the Belgium, it is a founding members of the European Union, where this European Union has a headquarters in the capital city of Belgium in Brussels, and it covers the area of around 30,528 kilometers. So let's see what was the ethnic composition of Belgium during that period. Now let's see the ethnic composition of Belgium. Now what is ethnic? Ethnic means if a community is having same culture, tradition, they are attached to its feeling also, and they feel comfortable with that uh, uh, kind of surrounding and have a good bounding even. So every country has an ethnic group on the basis of caste, religion, and race, and on many other bases. So every country may have one or more than one ethnic group. So Belgium is a country in a Europe just above the France on the world map if you see. Belgium is just like Haryana of the country on the territorial basis if we compare, and on the basis of the population it is just half of the population of the Haryana. So in Belgium we have two languages speaking people. So the Dutch and the French. So Belgium is divided into two regions. If you see the map, you can see the yellow one and the red one. So it has been divided into two regions like the north and the south. Like in India, we compare in the same manner. If you see that it has been divided into two regions, that is the north and the south borders. And the north is called as the Flemish and the south is called as a Wallonia. So the yellow one is called as a Flemish and the red one is called as Wallonia. So under this, 59% of the people in the Flemish region, the people speaks Dutch language. And 40% of the Wallonia, that is under the red region, they speaks French language. So 59 plus 40, we get 99. So 99% of the population, they speak two languages, that is the French and the Dutch. And the remaining 1%, that is the blue color, if you see, that are the remaining 1% that speaks German. So now this is the language ethnic composition of Belgium. Now the capital city of Belgium, that is Brussels, if you see in the middle, orange color, in that Brussels, what is this? Brussels is having an ethnic composition on the basis of language. That is 80% of the people there in the Brussels speaks French, and the 20% of the people in Brussels speaks Dutch. So now what do you observe under this? Majority of the people in the country speaks Dutch. But in the same, in minority, if you see, in the capital city, see a complete country, if we see, we are having a majority of the people, those who are speaking Dutch. And if we talk only about the capital Brussels, then we see the minority in the capital city, only 20% speaks Dutch. So country minority is French speaking is 40%. Capital minority in Dutch is 20%. So French speaking in minority in country, but majority in the capital. So there is a difference in complete overall country if you see, and only in the capital if you see, there are difference in the language. Like in the country, whatever is majority, again if you go compare it with the capital, it is in minority over there. So this is what we observe in the country Belgium. As we have observed the Belgium, there you are having a two language speaking people, that is Dutch and the French, and the remaining they speaks Germany, that is only 1% of the people, those who are speaking the Germany. So we find diversity over here on the basis of language. If the Dutch is worries the French in the country, then they will be afraid that in the capital French will also worry the Dutch, as they are in majority over there. So there are the chances, above all if we see, that there is a chances of conflict over there between the Dutch and the French. So under this situation, there are chances that the diverse ethnic group may have a tension among them. So this is one of the case study. So according to this, the what accommodation was taken by the Belgium. So let's see the accommodation. Leaders in Belgium were very mature. They took a very good decisions when they have seen that such kind of a diversity among the basis of religion is been seen in the Belgium. So they have taken a mature decision. Now what was that mature decision? Leaders in the Belgium, they took different path. They recognized the diversity. They amended the constitution 4 times to accommodate diversity. That is, in 1970 to 1993, they have changed the constitution, amended the constitution for 4 times. Some elements of Belgium model of accommodation was like constitution, they prescribe that the number of French and the Dutch speaking ministers should be equal in the central government. Thus, no single community can make that decision unilaterally. Why? They said that because none of the community can come up and they can unilaterally take up the decision. That is the reason why the ministers should be equally divided. Equal ministers should be taken from the Dutch speaking and even the French speaking. Powers were given to the state government over here, and they were not subordinate to the central government. They can take the individual decisions without the central government involvement. So all the powers were given to the state government rather to take up the decisions as per they required for their states. Brussels had a separate, in which both the communities have an equal representation. They had a separate government. Brussels, the capital, was having completely separate government, where both the communities have an equal representative, in the same manner how the constitution have decided to have the equal ministers as a Dutch and the French. In the same manner, even the Brussels decided to have a separate government, and the communities have an equal representation. Third kind of a government was formed. Third kind of a government community was formed over there. And why this community government was formed? Because this government has a power regarding to take the decisions regarding the cultural, education, language related issues. So all the sensitive matters related to the community to be solved by this community government. All the powers were given to this government on these issues. So the Brussels was chosen as a headquarters for the European Union. During that period, Europeans were used to trade over there, trade over in Belgium. So Brussels was a capital of Belgium. So this the European, they decided that we will have a headquarters in the Brussels. Many countries they joined and they made one big union that is called as European Union, and they had a headquarters in the Brussels. So conclusion, what conclusion we come up after the accommodation in the Belgium? They sought out the problem of diversity so that this should not create any tension in the country. They made the effort by sharing the powers equally so that they can live unitedly. So we can see that the powers have been shared just in order to have a unity in the country. So we can say that yes, power sharing is not weakening the powers, it strengthens the powers, it strengthens the country if we shares the power. So if we see the case study of the Belgium, we come to this conclusion. Now we'll see the case study of Sri Lanka. What exactly happened there? Now let us see the case study 2, that is of Sri Lanka. So now let us take the situation of another country, that is Sri Lanka. It is an island nation having a population of 2 crores, about the same as in Haryana. Sri Lanka has a diverse population, and Sri Lanka has a maritime border with India to the northwest and the Maldives to the north south. So now let us see what exactly happened in the Sri Lanka, what kind of a power sharing was adopted by Sri Lankans. Let's discuss. Now, as we have seen that there was a majority of Sinhalas over there, that is 74% of the people were the Sinhala speaking people over there, and the Tamil speakers were only 18%, and the remaining were the Muslim communities, so Indian Tamils and the Sri Lankan Tamils were there. So the Tamil speaking were around 18%, and the 74% of the people were speaking Sinhalas. So the majority were the Sinhalas and the minorities were the Tamil people. So on the basis of the majority and the minority, if we see that if the majoritism, they come up with a rule that if they come up that we are in the majority and we can rule over here on the minorities, then the situation will be something different. They'll have a division of the country over there, and if they act in a positive manner, then they will have a smooth running of the government over there. So let's see what exactly the Sri Lankan did. So under the majoritism in the Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka, it got independence in 1948. So majority of the people over here were Sinhala community. Now they started shouting out the domination over the on the basis of majoritism on the minorities. So now this majoritism, that is Sinhalas, they started dominating the minority people. So what is majoritism? Majoritism is nothing but the belief that those who are in the majority will rule the country. So this was called as a majoritism. It is nothing but those who are in a majority will rule. So what were the steps taken by this majoritism in order to rule over here? In 1956, they passed an act to recognize Sinhalas as an official language, thus disregarding the Tamils. Tamil was not at all an official language. They have not even consulted it, and they said that now the official language will be only Sinhalas. These Sinhalas were also given the favor by providing them the government jobs and the admissions in the universities. And the Buddhism, as the Sinhalas, they used to follow the Buddhism. So Buddhism was favored and given a special protection by the constitution. So now what happened? All these things, they started, this minority people, they started feeling left out. They started feeling an alienation. So when they feel left out, they'll definitely come up with new plans. They'll come up with a rebel. They come up with a struggle in order to get certain powers over there. So the same thing has happened in the Sri Lanka too, because now these people are dominating the minorities. So what exactly will happen? Even if they have shared the powers as the what the Belgium has done, if they have done the same thing, they must have the unity over there, and United Nation must have been followed over here. They must have the unity over here. But now here what they are doing, on the basis of the majoritism, they are dividing the powers. So on that basis, they will definitely have a disaster, all the relationship between the Sinhalas and the Tamils were strained because of this. So now then what happened? After the majoritism in the Sri Lanka, what exactly happened? Let's see. Now, as we have seen the situation in the Sri Lanka, as we have seen in the majoritism, that the majority are dominating the minority people, that is the Tamil speaking people, that is 18% people were there who were speaking the Tamils, and the 74% people were there, those who were speaking the Sinhalas, and they started dominating the Tamil speaking people. So all the political rights were also discriminated on the basis of this majoritism and the minoritism. So due to all this relationship between the Tamils and the Sinhalas, they got strained. All the relationship where it got strained. So these Tamilians, they launched a struggle against the Sinhalas, and they started demanding the independent Tamil or independent Elam. Elam is nothing but the house. So here they started demanding the separate state. So the distrust turned into the civil war. Now what is civil war? Civil war is nothing but the internal crisis, which the crisis within the country is called as a civil war. So thousands of the people of both the communities were killed under this civil war, where there was a crisis within the country. Thus, they could not accommodate the diversity. If they would have started or shared the powers, they would have been living in a harmony. But here, they gave importance to the power. And what they are suffering? They are suffering with the killing of the people of both the communities. The distrust has been gained over here. They are not trusting each other. So here, the powers are not being shared. That is the reason why there is no harmony, there is no unity in Sri Lanka. Now let's see the conclusion after seeing both the case study. Related to both the cases of the Sri Lanka and the Belgium, Belgium has taken the diversity in a more matured manner, and they shared the power between the state, central and other communities. Whereas in Sri Lanka, power sharing was seen, because of which they faced the problem. There was no power sharing. There was a majoritism over there. That is the reason why they have shared the problems, or the harmony was completely shattered over there. They did not had any kind of a unity over there. So power sharing is very important to maintain the harmony. Power sharing will strengthen your country's power. It will not decrease or it will not weaken your country. Power sharing will strengthen your country. So that is the reason why this chapter tells that the power sharing is very important. So the same thing we have seen even in the chapter federalism, where we have seen the power sharing between the legislature, executive and judiciary. We have seen the power sharing between the central government, state government and the local government. So this is much required in order to strengthen the country's harmony. We should have a power sharing. So power sharing is very important to maintain the harmony in the country. Now let's see, why is power sharing desirable? So under this we'll study the two side headings. There are two reasons where we can have a power sharing is desirable. We come to the conclusion that yes, the power sharing is desirable under two reasons. The first is prudential reason and the second is moral reason. Now, what is prudential reason? Prudential reason is nothing but the maturity based decisions, where you are maturely taking the decisions, is nothing but the prudential reasons. So, what happens when we take the decisions when we are more mature? It reduces the chances of conflicts between various social groups. Conflicts in the sense violence and political instability. So, power sharing is a good way to ensure the political stability. If you want the political stability, if you want the government to run for 5 years in a stable manner, then you should have a proper power sharing. Then only there will be a stability in political field too. So, power sharing will bring out a better outcomes. So, this is what the prudential reason for why we want to have a power sharing. And the second is moral reasons. Moral reasons is nothing but that what you say should exist. That is nothing but the moral. Like if you say that our country is a democratic one, then you should prove that yes, it is a democratic one. And just by saying it is not called as democratic. For this, you should have a universal adult franchisee and power sharing should be there, fair elections should be there. Then only we will call as the democratic country. Just by saying that we are democratic, we are not democratic. You have to prove that there are certain reasons where we say that our country is a democratic one. That is nothing but the moral reasons. So, under moral reasons, power sharing is the very spirit of the democracy. People have a right to be consulted on how have to be governed. So here the people are having all the powers in their hands by selecting their representative, and they will select how the government is going to govern over here. So moral reason of power sharing emphasizes the very act of power sharing as a valuable. So here we can say that yes, power sharing is desirable in both the prudential reasons, even in the moral reasons. Now let's see the forms of power sharing. Different types of power sharing within whom we can share the power started when the country uh, got very near to the democracy. When we got the democracy, the idea of sharing the powers, the different new ways of sharing the powers got into our minds. And their way of thinking towards this changes, the way of changes in the thinking towards sharing of the power also got changed. How it got changed? In the four ways. Powers is shared among the different organs of the government. Then the second is power is shared among the government at the different level. Third is power is shared among the different social groups. Fourth, power is also shared among the political parties, pressure groups and movements. Now we'll see the each one of them in briefly how the powers are shared among the different organs, the different levels, different social groups, different pressure groups. Now we'll discuss in detail about this. So now the first one is power sharing among the different organs of the government. So here the different organs are nothing but the legislature, executive and judiciary. This is also called as horizontal distribution of the power, because of which the system of check and balance is developed. Now what is check and balance? Check and balance is nothing but they'll keep an eye on each other whether these people are working properly or not. So they cannot unilaterally use their power. That is the reason why we call it as the power sharing among the different organs of the government. These organs, they keep an eye on their functions on each other, and they cannot act unilaterally and share the powers. The second is the power sharing at the different level of the government. So here this is also called as a vertical distribution of the power. The powers are shared between the central government, state government and local government. Federal division of the power, this is also called as a federal division of the government, or you can call it as a federalism, where the powers are shared in a vertical form. Now let us see the two examples of power sharing, that is between the two countries, that is Belgium and Sri Lanka. Then we'll compare that whether the power sharing among these two countries was benefited to them or not. And the last is power sharing among the political parties, pressure groups, and movements. So, here this represents different ideologies and the social groups, that every party is not having its own ideology. Each and every party has the different ideologies. They come up with a different manifesto, different way of development. They have their different ideas of the development for the countries. So the coalition government is an example of it, where the different ideologies, different parties are given a chance to come into the power, where India has seen the coalition of the government, where the different parties, what is coalition of the government? When one party does not get a majority in the parliament, then it forms a government by joining a hand with the next powerful party or the next winning party, which was in the second position in the parliament. So they just join hand with that party and forms a government. So two different parties are coming, two different ideologies are coming and joining the hands and ruling the government. So this is what is called as a power sharing among the political parties. Then you have an interest group that influence the decision making. The people, those who are having, there are certain interest groups even, this those who come up and they share the parties, like the trade unions. If we don't work as per their demand, they will go for a strike. Like in industries we have this interest groups, like if we are having a factory or an industry, there you have an interest group, and if we are not following their rules and regulations, or if we are not taking the decisions as per their concerns or as per their ideologies, then they will go on strikes. So even this group, if the powers are distributed, if even the factories, if the powers are distributed among this interest groups or unions, then we'll have a smooth way of running the industries. So even this pressure group, those who create a pressure on the industries by forming a union over there, if the powers are shared equally among them, if certain powers are also given for them in order to take the decisions, then the company or a factory will run smoothly. So this is what the example of the power sharing among the pressure groups and movements. So in this way, yes, the power sharing strengthen the power of the industry or strengthen the power of the political party if we share the power among them. So let's see what the story of Belgium. Now let's see the images. The first image is, it is a photograph of a street addresses in a Belgium. It is written in the two languages, French and a Dutch, which signifies the name and the direction of the place. So this image is very important, where it is describing the situation of the Belgium, where they are following the two languages, that is the Dutch and the French. That is the reason why even the address plate of one street is been written in the two languages, that is one in the French and the other is the Dutch language. Now, as we have seen that there was a majority of Sinhalas over there, that is 74% of the people were the Sinhala speaking people over there, and the Tamil speakers were only 18%, and the remaining were the Muslim communities, so Indian Tamils and the Sri Lankan Tamils were there. So the Tamil speaking were around 18%, and the 74% of the people were speaking Sinhalas. So the majority were the Sinhalas and the minorities were the Tamil people. So on the basis of the majority and the minority, if we see that if the majoritism, they come up with a rule, that if they come up that we are in the majority and we can rule over here on the minorities, then the situation will be something different. They'll have a division of the country over there. And if they act in a positive manner, then they will have a smooth running of the government over there. So let's see what exactly the Sri Lankan did. So under the majoritism in the Sri Lanka it got independence in 1948. So majority of the people over here were Sinhala community. Now they started shouting out the domination over the on the basis of majoritism on the minorities. So now this majoritism, that is Sinhalas, they started dominating the minority people. So what is majoritism? Majoritism is nothing but the belief that those who are in the majority will rule the country. So this was called as a majoritism. It is nothing but those who are in a majority will rule. So what were the steps taken by this majoritism in order to rule over here? In 1956, they passed an act to recognize Sinhalas as an official language, thus disregarding the Tamils. Tamil was not at all an official language. They have not even consulted it, and they said that now the official language will be only Sinhalas. These Sinhalas were also given the favor by providing them the government jobs and the admissions in the universities. And the Buddhism, as the Sinhalas, they used to follow the Buddhism. So Buddhism was favored and given a special protection by the constitution. So now what happened? All these things, they started, this minority people, they started feeling left out. They started feeling an alienation. So when they feel left out, they'll definitely come up with new plans. They'll come up with a rebel. They come up with a struggle in order to get certain powers over there. So the same thing has happened in the Sri Lanka too, because now these people are dominating. Now let us see the two examples of power sharing that is between the two countries, that is Belgium and Sri Lanka. Then we'll compare that whether the power sharing among these two countries was benefited to them or not. Now let's see the conclusion after seeing both the case study. Related to both the cases of the Sri Lanka and the Belgium, Belgium has taken the diversity in a more matured manner and they shared the power between the state, central and other communities. Whereas in Sri Lanka, power sharing was seen because of which they faced the problem. There was no power sharing. There was a majoritism over them. That is the reason why they have shared the problems, or the harmony was completely shattered over there. They did not had any kind of a unity over there. So power sharing is very important to maintain the harmony. Power sharing will strengthen your country's power. It will not decrease or it will not weaken your country. Power sharing will strengthen your country. So that is the reason why this chapter tells that the power sharing is very important. So the same thing we have seen even in the chapter federalism, where we have seen the power sharing between the legislature, executive and judiciary. We have seen the power sharing between the central government, state government and the local government. So this is uh, much required in order to strengthen the country's harmony. We should have a power sharing. So power sharing is very important to maintain the harmony in the country. Now the next image, the title is Raining the Rains. Now what is raining? Raining is nothing but having a lagan, just to pull it wherever you want. So raining the rain. So what does this signifies? So you can see the two characters are being shown in your image, and on their hands it has been written Putin and Bush. So what do we get this message from? The Putin is from Russia and Bush is from USA. Both are the elected head leaders and they have a reign of democracy, that is the lagan of democracy in their hand. And George Bush is saying that we have to gotta keep the reign tight, Valdemir. This means that the elected leaders have the reign of democracy in their hand. This is a power which they want to concentrate in their hand. So this is nothing but it has been shown that all the powers are vested in the hands of the elected person. The powers of what? The powers of the democracy. and if they keep a rein on it, how it is going to be ruled? So this elected people should have a rein on the democracy in order to have a proper rule on the country. So this is what has been shown in this image, that keep a rein on the rein, have a lagan on the democracy to control the democracy in the country. And the two presidents have been shown, that is the president of Russia, that is Putin, and the president of USA, that is George Bush, has been shown, and they are holding out the reign of democracy in their hand. And these are the elected leaders on whose hands we have given the reign of democracy. We the people have given the reign of democracy in the hands of the elected people now. Now they have to rule it accordingly, take the decisions properly. So now this is an image where it is describing the headquarters of the European Union. Brussels was chosen as a headquarter for the European Union. Brussels is nothing but the capital city of the Belgium, and it was chosen in order to form a headquarters over there by the European Union. And this union is nothing but where many of the European countries, they used to come for a trade in Sri Lanka. They said that our headquarters should be there in the Brussels, that is the capital city of Belgium. So this many of the countries, they joined and they had a meeting and they formed the union, a big union called as European Union, and they have opened the headquarters in the Brussels. So this is a picture of that same headquarter which was formed in a Brussels by the European Union.